European EV sales are still climbing, and the undisputed auto manufacturing leader in Europe, Volkswagen, is taking a very interesting approach. We'll see how well that works out for them. Why don't we have a quick chat with our friend in Germany? I'm Brian. Welcome to My Tesla Weekend. So we got Jan with us from Tesla Fix. If you need your Tesla fix, you knows where's to get it. It's a small channel, but he's such a great resource. And it's only small because it's such a crowded space and it's hard to get traction. Go give him some love, I insist. So
yeah, please do that. Glad to be on again, Brian. I always enjoy these short videos we're doing here. And pumped to make this episode because a lot was happening.
Yeah, so I've heard of this company called Volkswagen out of Bavaria, and they are quite a powerhouse when it comes to manufacturing automobiles. Do you know what their global sales are roughly these days?
They were more or less 10 million all those years. They shrunken down slightly to 8 million, around that ballpark. And it seems like the ICE market is shrinking and the EV market is shrinking, according to VW, of course. But well, is that true? And I have to correct you. It's not Bavaria. You were
I was thinking of BMW.
There. It was
yes.
You were thinking about BMW. It's Wolfsburg, of course. But needless to say, interesting stuff happening with VW and, of course, the EV sales numbers. Is it so bad in Europe? Let's see.
Let's see, because, they had some very compelling cars when they were selling 10 million. They had a low emission diesel that sold like crazy.
A clean diesel. It was a clean diesel.
So that didn't work out great. I'm just going to spoil it for everyone who doesn't know. That turned out to be a case that landed some executives in prison. So accountability, imagine that. So Volkswagen, though, still a very big auto manufacturer, top 2 or 3 in the world, I believe. And but they've had some struggles getting their EVs to sell. They've done partnerships to build them in China with 2 different companies, the ID4 Cross and the ID4. There's 2 different ID4s, neither of which are actually made by Volkswagen. They're slightly different cars. And even those aren't selling. So what has their latest strategy been? Have you heard?
Yeah. First of all, we have to look through the EVs market from VW's lens. The EV market is shrinking, but only for VW and for the German brands, sadly. But the problem was that actually VW really struggled with the China sales. That was totally unexpected for them. And of course, the VW CEO, the brand CEO, not the group CEO. We have to differentiate there because, of course, the VW group includes Porsche and Audi and all the other brands as well, also Cupra, for example, and also Skoda. But the CEO of the VW brand said that the roof is on fire and that the Chinese market is almost lost, really. He kind of told that to the managers. So, the house is on fire at VW. And their strategy is the strategy that Herbert Diess warned us about. If we don't move course and change course quickly enough, we're gonna get rid of 20,000 jobs in Wolfsburg. That's what he said. And now Volkswagen cut back in that department, and they're gonna talk big time about layoffs, and they're already doing that. They plan to expand those layoffs for the next 5 years. You could say that they're gonna steadily get rid of the workers, more or less.
So you said they're adding thousands of workers? Did I hear you right?
And no, you absolutely misheard. They're going to reduce the workers. And they already started that with the Zwickau factory that they are doing. They're pulling it back a little bit. And of course, the first layoff wave that we're going to see at VW, they already announced that they going to scale back CARIAD, of course, the software debacle that they're doing. Because remember when they put in thousands of programmers, 10,000s of programmers onto this project and thought, if we throw enough software engineers onto that problem, it's going to solve itself. No. You need a hardcore team of maybe 50 developers, and this is already a big team. like Tesla is doing, like a little bit smaller. You need small teams, agile teams for software.
So you said
what they didn't do.
You said Volkswagen hired, what was it, 10 programmers, you said?
10,000 programmers.
I'm sorry, 1,000 programmers? 10,000 is the wrong number, you guys. That is the wrong number. That is all the king's horses and all the king's men trying to mend an egg. It is the wrong number for the job. Great, cut those people, because honestly, I can't tell what they were doing, and I don't think they know either. There aren't 10,000. You shouldn't, I mean, 10,000 sounds more like the number of lines of code you should have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I not even sure if maybe we have too much code in the VW software. That explains a lot. I think it's totally janky and not good. Absolutely.
Yeah, and getting something that big to work in harmony with itself becomes a problem. That's why companies like Microsoft will throw out operating systems and start from scratch periodically. It just got too unwieldy. So Volkswagen is in danger. They're looking at shrinking at a time when everyone else is looking at trying to grow. And really, a lot of these brands are growing. In Europe, we've seen auto sales are up this year. EV sales are up this year. And in the EU, how are sales doing?
So before I want to get into the sales, I wanted to, because I brought a little quote. I hope this is not unpolite that I just shift over back to the topic before, because I think it's important, that statement. Because VW CEO Schäfer actually told in an interview that they're going to get rid of the ID.3 model, which they just recently made a facelift of. So that means they're going to get rid of their entry-level EV and replace it probably with the VW Polo-like car, which is a little bit smaller as well. And I'm not sure how was their naming scheme.
Golf?
Was it the ID.2? The ID.2
Oh,
maybe?
the ID.2, yes.
Yeah, the smaller one, not the Golf. But they're going to have a smaller EV that's more cost efficient in building and everything. And they aim to have it under $25,000. And we've heard a certain company working on that too. And they stated to have this out, let me think, but don't nail me on this number. I think it was around 2026, I think they're going to release it. Or 2025, something like that, in that ballpark. Also, the same year where test. Yeah, it's 2025, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And one... Mm-hmm,
well, the problem with it is you got to figure out how to get your costs down. And they are tethered to the old way of manufacturing, which doesn't allow for efficiencies like cyber design. It doesn't allow for, if they said, you know what, we're going to go to all molded plastic or all carbon fiber or all anything, Volkswagen would say, nope, we're going to stick with stamped steel.
What's interesting is the Zwickau factory, where they reduced at first the shifts, and now they're going to get rid of some workers. But the interesting thing there is that was their, if I remember correctly, in the east of Germany, in Zwickau, I thought it was Zwickau, there you could really see your car getting built. They have a kind of showroom where they see the manufacturing line there, and then you can see how it's assembled. But this also indicates kind of they won't kind of modernize this. I don't think so. I think they're going to modernize more in Wolfsburg. They also planned there to have a new factory there besides the other factory, but these plans were scrapped again and stuff like this. So back and forth. But Zwickau kind of is I'm not sure if they're going to retool Zwickau to produce suddenly a much cheaper car. It's kind of difficult in the space that they're in right now. And I wanted to read one quote that I find very interesting, especially for the $25,000 car that they are also, because they're competing with Tesla in that sense. I think that's a good transition to the sales numbers then, because we're going to be shocked how the European market looks like, because is EV demand shrinking in Europe? Is the market shrinking in Europe? I doubt that. So VW CEO Schäfer said, the dealers say if we don't get an entry-level car from you, we'll have to bring in another brand. Making a car like this for under 20,000 euros is, to emphasize it again, Champions League. If anyone can do this, it's us, because we can scale. Now it's a matter of making sure that we can also achieve this economically. Every car we bring onto the market has to pay off in the end.
Oh.
Wow.
I don't know if he's talking about, when he says we can do it, I don't know who he means, because
they can do it. Tesla can do it. Yeah, that's what he means.
Because it doesn't sound like the VW I'm seeing today. Getting under 20,000 euros is difficult. That is a difficult task. There are a lot of battery factories going up around Europe that will be making reasonably priced LFP batteries. Great lifespan, great cycle, great performance, reasonable energy density. But a battery and motors is still going to cost more than a dirty old ICE engine with a transmission. And you've got to start thinking differently. I saw the photo of the all hands on deck managers meeting. It was an ocean of people. That was too many. That was the wrong number. Are these your programmers?
Hopefully, because they're going to be laid off. But no, that might be managers. That's the sad thing. It's crazy. VW is such a big giant. You cannot imagine how difficult is that to shift that ship. It's going to be crazy, especially with the big board. I mean, the Porsche P family is huge. The Porsche family had so many kids, and it expanded. It's a family dynasty for over 100 years. They're going to rack up some people, especially if they are wealthy. So, yeah, it's pretty difficult. Yeah,
it's difficult. But sales in Europe of all autos is up 16%.
Yes.
Sales of EVs is up. So if Volkswagen isn't making those sales, who is?
Tesla is, because we can see that in the image of the European car sales by brand January to October here, is that Tesla grew 50%. Overall sales, remember that. That's overall sales, including ICE cars. So this is very important to note here. Yeah, it's crazy. They're a little bit behind Citroën and Fiat and stuff like this. But again, we're talking about ICE cars included. And if we look at the EVs, they're the champion with BYD globally. And it's crazy how they grow. And it's not even a comparison at this point. It's ridiculous how steadily the numbers are climbing, and the adoption of EVs in Europe also. Yeah.
And even Stellantis is making reasonable sales. Fiat, I mean, the Chinese brands, I assume, are still making some headway, though they're coming in a lot slower than I thought they might earlier this year. The transition is upon us, and I just don't think they're nimble enough to get the job done.
If you look also at the BEV market share in Europe, you can really see that the bell curve is we're getting at it more and more, and I think it's going to accelerate faster and faster. The trend is clearly shown here. And the adoption rate is pretty steady, and Tesla is growing like crazy, actually. And you can see that in the European Tesla sales for January to October as well.
The bottleneck was thought to be the batteries, but we no longer... Most of the world's EVs are already LFP, and that percentage is increasing. LFP doesn't require cobalt or manganese or nickel, the things that are difficult to get. These are all readily available supplies. The lithium was the only question mark, and lithium prices have fallen precipitously once the speculators stepped back a little bit. The lithium supply is looking reasonable for the foreseeable future, so the one big bottleneck appears to have more or less gone away. So yeah, the future is here, guys. VW, I am deeply, deeply worried, and it sounds like they are too. So guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? You got to tell us, otherwise how are we going to know? And of course, check out Jan from Tesla Fix. He does great work, and he even has jokers like me on sometimes, which is very suspicious. I don't know about that. But for everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual things. You can support me on Patreon or X or YouTube as a channel member. You can even use my referral code so that maybe I can get a a performance boost and name it after you. I don't know. So everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots on the Flippity Flop.
See you.